What's happening, YouTube? Hope we're all good. We're back for another video here, and just back from the morning walk. Grab the coffee, and yeah, about to get stuck into a bit of work. But I suppose one of the things that I've been thinking about, it's just that sort of time of the year. It's summer. It's coming towards the end of August, start of September, and we are into the championship season. You're at the business end of the year. And I suppose the big thing that, a lot of the conversations that I've been having with clients, even people on Instagram, seeing in Q&As and just seeing what sort of questions I'm getting asked, it's all around like how can you be in the best possible position coming into the championship, and like that's the main focus for every player. Like you put so much time and energy into your training and your performances all year. You want to make sure that it's all clicking and coming together when it really matters, which is the business end of the year. You want that confidence that all the necessary steps are taken. You want to be doing the right amount of training, knowing that you're getting the right amount of training in, the right amount of work in, without overcooking it and without undercooking it. You want to just know that all the boxes have been ticked, you're putting your best foot forward, and you're in the best possible position to perform come game time. So that's what we're going to run through today here, is like my exact process for going through all those different areas: training, nutrition, preparation, to make sure that I'm in the best possible position for being able to perform come championship time. So grab a pen and paper, let's get stuck in, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the video. Right, so when it comes to performing at your best come championship time, a lot of players will look at the day before the game or even day of the game in terms of what they're doing there. And obviously that's a side of things going to be massively important and has a fair bit of say in terms of how you're actually going to perform. So many players get caught up in the final details coming in the final hours before a game, looking at carb loads, looking at their meal before a game, hydration, all that crack. Whereas there's so much happening in the rest of the week that could be better optimized and better looked after. And that's what we're going to look at here. Like, I'm a big believer in your performance come game day isn't down the game day itself or maybe even your carb load the day before. It actually starts the week before, and it starts on the Monday if your game's on the Sunday. It starts with what you're doing in your training, your recovery, your sleep, your nutrition, all those things. And that's what we're going to run through today. We're going to stack your week in your favor, stack everything in your favor so that you can be in the best possible position to perform come the game. Now, whenever it comes to planning a week, looking at, like, essentially there's certain inputs that we need to maximize our performance. And for me, there's three key areas. There's going to be your training, there's going to be nutrition, and then there's going to be obviously lifestyle habits, standardized behaviors that we carry throughout the week, and then even more so on game day. Come game day, you're going to have your personal sort of routines, what makes you feel good, and yeah, just what you feel works well for you. So first thing I'm going to dive into is the training side of things. So when it comes to training, probably the biggest thing is just looking at your week and having the right setup for the week. Obviously you've got team training there, you've got your game coming up, and they're the constants in the week. They're the absolutely essentials. They're the things that we want to base our training week around. So there's going to be a few different training weeks that we can have, a few different setups. The brilliant thing about the GA at the moment is your schedules can always chop and change. You know, one week you could have a game on a Saturday, the following week could be on a Sunday. You might be training Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. The following week it could be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's just always chopping and changing. So we need to be able to be agile with our planning. There's no point in having one plan in and everything's perfect around it, and then the nature of the sport that we're in, it's always chopping and changing. So we need to be able to think on our feet. We need to be able to adapt. Otherwise you're just left thinking, what do I need to do here? And yeah, you're not feeling confident in your preparation. So I'm going to run through a couple of different examples here. Probably the most popular one at the moment is, say, Tuesday, Friday, and then game day Sunday, say. So T's there for training, or we might have Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Or another example could be, say, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So they're the common team structures. They're the ones that are in place, and we need to base our week around that. So that's what we're going to run through now. When it comes to planning our week, there's certain inputs that we're looking for, and there's certain types of sessions, there's certain boxes that need to be ticked. So when it comes to our training, we're looking at our speed, we're looking at our gym work, and essentially they're the big ones. We might have a wee bit of conditioning, depending on your game time, depending on how much you're playing, depending on where you are in the season and when your games are coming up. When it comes to your speed work, then obviously that breaks up into like our acceleration, and then we've got our max speed, acceleration and change of direction. Your gym work, obviously you've got your upper body, lower body, strength, power, all the rest of it, and conditioning we have, I suppose, on or off feet. And then that's, I suppose, at this time of the year, it's more top-up running, but the majority of that's going to be covered with team sessions, and if you're playing full minutes, you're not going to need a massive amount of extra conditioning. So basically with these, like, we should have a holistic plan in place. If you don't have a holistic plan in place,
check out the in-season program and the links down below, or reach out, give me a shout with potential performance athlete or P2P athlete, and we'll have a chat about working one-to-one. Yeah, so first things first, we want to make sure that we're at our freshest coming into team training and games. We want to have enough recovery time in between, but we also want to get the work done so that we're not falling behind, and we're not also overcooking it and feeling like shit coming into sessions and games. So the key principle, I talk about this all the time, is like putting our speed work in, or our fastest, most explosive work in, our high intensity work in when we're at our freshest. So getting our speed work in before our team sessions is going to be the key. So say on a Tuesday and a Friday then, for the first example, we're looking at, say we want to go speed, and then the Friday we might go acceleration beforehand. Then obviously game day. The next thing then is looking at our gym work around that. So gym work at this time of the year, you might split it up. You can split it up into a few different ways. You might go lower body sessions either directly after team training. You might do it on the next day, depending if you have enough time to recover. Or you might be like upper, lower, splitting it up, or full body sessions. For the purpose of this, I'm going to look at a full body session where you're getting a mixture of strength and power. Again, if you want examples of this, check out the in-season program. And then I'm going to look at an upper body session. That's personally how I'm working at the moment, and it's working well for me. Key principle when it comes to lower body work is keeping it as far away from your game as possible, and making sure that you have as much recovery going into your next high intensity session so that you're actually fresh and ready to hit those outputs that you want. So in this Tuesday, Friday, Sunday example, the best day to get your lower body or full body work in would be on the Wednesday session. All right, and then I suppose upper body you can kind of get in whenever you want. So the Thursday you could go upper body, and then the Saturday if you wanted you can go primer, and then obviously your carb load as well. Or the other option could be lower body after team training, and you can see how that works there. For the Monday, Wednesday, Friday example, again, the Monday you can go speed, Wednesday you could go excel, and Tuesday you could go full body. Again, the type of work that we're doing isn't going to be massively fatiguing, it's not going to massively fry us. One of the big principles here is keeping the quality and the intensity of the work high, but the volume of the work low. That way you're still getting a good quality amount, that you're getting a good stimulus in, but it's not so much that it's going to leave you fried, not going to leave you massively sore, not going to leave you massively fatigued, and carrying that into your sessions and games. So there's the example for the Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Again, you want to be as fresh as possible getting into your game. You want to have the day after to recover, and then you're sprinkling in the rest of the work throughout the rest of the week where it fits best. Keeping our high days high, so our team training days, getting our high intensity speed work in there, and then the days in between, we're either getting our upper body work, maybe a bit of full body, or if we need to get a lower body session in, ideally getting it after team training, so for as much recovery as possible. And then the final example then for the the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. The Monday might have our upper body. Again, we've got speed before team training. The following day could possibly be full body, and then maybe a bit of excel before your Thursday session. Friday could be off or primer. Or if you had a game, say Saturday evening, you might do your primer in the AM, and then the game in the PM. And then Sunday off to recover then after the game. All right, so as I was saying, keeping the intensity high and the volume low. So when it comes to your season as a whole, so if we've got volume here and intensity here, so as our intensity starts to increase, our volume will start to decrease. So that would be, say, the off season, where the intensity's at the volume's at the highest, intensity's at the lowest, and then as we get the championship season, where the intensity's at the highest, we want to bring our volume down to compensate with that. How we keep the intensity high is still bringing relatively heavy weights in the likes of our gym sessions, but from a volume standpoint, we're maybe cutting the set off, and we're bringing the reps down, maybe capping the reps between sort of 3 to 5 for explosive, fast, sort of heavy strength type work. But then our accessory work, we can keep it slightly higher, but then maybe reduce it by a set or two. So we're getting enough work in to stimulate and keep us topped up and improving, but not so much that it's going to leave us absolutely fried, fatigued, sore, coming into your next couple of sessions. Sorry to interrupt here, but if you're listening to this video and you're thinking, for fuck's sake, Owen, my season's already ended, we're out of the championship, and now I'm looking at the off season, I've got you covered. On the 22nd of September, I'm going to be hosting a free live webinar where we'll talk through everything around the transition from in-season to off-season, how to get a bit of downtime without completely going backwards, how to get the head and body recovered and be ready to push on again, and then what you actually need to do from a training standpoint to make sure that you're in the best possible position coming into the pre-season and you're up ahead of the pack with the team. So if that sounds like something you're interested in and you want to be one of the first to know, check out the links in the description down below, click on the links page, sign up to your email list, and you'll be one of the first people to get the details. Look forward to seeing you there, and now back to the video. The next thing we want to look at then is the nutrition. And when it comes to nutrition, we're looking at it from two perspectives. So on one side, we've got fueling and recovery. And then the other side of it, we've got our body composition. So as always, like the key with nutrition and anything that we do is actually understanding your energy balance, your calorie intake, your calorie expenditure, and working out like a target calorie intake based off like an online calculator. So go on there. I'm not going to run through it in this video, but go on there, figure it out. You get a number of what you should roughly be hitting depending on your goal. But when it comes to this time of the year and when it comes to championship, like to be in the absolute peak, your primary focus should just be on fueling and recovery, meaning that your calories are in around maintenance level. So if you're trying to trim down body fat, like the championship is not the ideal time to be going through that. Especially, it's about remembering what the priority is and keeping the main thing. If the main thing is performance on the pitch, then having a nutrition strategy in place that allows you to fuel properly, recover effectively in between is going to be the key there. If we're in a deficit, essentially we're not fueling properly, we're actually under fueling. And if we're doing that week on week, that fatigue's going to build up, our energy's not going to be where it could be, and our physical outputs aren't going to be where they could be either. So yeah, ideally you have the body composition work done before now, and you're in a position where you just need to fuel, just need to recover, get plenty of carbs in, and feel good getting into your sessions. But in saying that, we definitely don't want our body composition to get worse during the championship season. So yes, we're carb loading, yes, we're getting plenty of food in, but that doesn't give you the excuse just to go and fucking eat everything in sight. Smash the pizzas, smash the ice cream, get everything in there, and just go, yeah, I'm carb loading or I'm fueling, I need to refuel after a game. And how we do that, how we make sure that we're actually getting enough food in is just by having clear targets for our training days, recovery days, and then obviously game day, fueling and carb loading the day before. So as I was saying there a couple minutes ago, the main thing is if you use a calorie calculator to give yourself a rough estimate on how many calories you should be eating. Say for example, in my case, it is I'll go 3,000, it's a nice round number, just for the math standpoint. So it says 3,000 calories per day that I need to be having to maintain. Some days are going to be higher intensity, some days are going to be lower intensity. So what I want to do is multiply that by 7 to give me my amount for the week. And that's going to work at 21,000 calories per week. So what we can then do is split those 21,000 calories up between our training days. So if we've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and say our Saturday and Sunday, we've got a game on Sunday, and then we're doing our carb load on Saturday. All right, so these 2 days are going to be our highest intensity, our highest calorie and carb days. So we might be anywhere from 3,500 calories on those 2 days, because our carbs are at our highest, which obviously brings our calories up, which means then somewhere along the week we're going to actually have to bring the calories down. Now the numbers that I'm writing down here mightn't match up exactly to what we're looking at here, but you'll get the gist of it, you get the idea. Again, if we take the example of our training days are on a Tuesday, we've got training, and say a Friday we've got training as well. Those days are probably going to be a bit higher in intensity, so calories we might go 3,200. Monday we have a gym session, and say Wednesday we have a gym session. All right, for those days we might be around 3,000 calories. And then on Thursday might be our rest day, so we might be on 2,500 calories. So as you can see there, we have more food around our heavier training days because we're getting more carbs in, and then we have less food on our lower training days because the demand for energy isn't quite there. The key principle here is that we're meeting the energy demands of our training, and we're not letting the tank run empty, especially from a carb standpoint. So if we go a level deeper than that and we look at how much carbs we're actually getting in for our high days here, for your carb loading days, you're looking at around 6 to 8 grams of carbs per kg of body weight. So for example, if I'm 80 kg, you're looking at 480 to 640 grams of carbs. Maths takes me a wee while to work those things out. Say for example then on your team training days, we might be anywhere, depending on the intensity of it, we might be anywhere from say 4 to 6 grams of carbs per kg. Our gym days, again, not as intense, so it could be anywhere from probably in around 4 to 5, yeah, probably 4 grams of carbs I would say. And then our rest days could be anywhere from 3 to 4 grams per kg. So yeah, again, it's not going to be exact, but it gives you sort of ranges to work with and gives you a bit of an idea to work with there. Priority number one is fuel for the demands of the training. Don't let the carb stores run empty, so that whenever you do get your carb load, you're actually taking full advantage of your carb load rather than running on empty for 5 days and then trying to get your whole carb stores topped back up in 1 day before a game. Whereas if you can balance it out Monday to Friday, you're keeping the stores topped up, and then you actually go above and beyond the day before the game, so you have plenty of stores there coming into the game the next day. And then I suppose one other key thing is, again, just continuing to monitor your body composition. So taking a daily weigh-in after you've been to the toilet first thing in the morning, taking note of that, taking an average at the end of the week, and then tracking the trend of that average. If your body weight's consistently going up over time, you're probably overshooting it, you're probably getting too much calories in, so you can pull that back a wee bit. Or if your weight is actually dropping off over time, then you're probably underfueling and not getting enough food in, so we can bump that up, especially around the training days. To make sure that we're at a good level, you're giving yourself the best chance to recover, the best chance to perform, and have the most amount of energy coming into sessions and games at the business end of the year. The third thing we're going to chat about is like game day itself then. So when it comes to game day, everyone's going to have their personal preference here, and I might explain my personal preferences here, and you might be listening and going, nah, that definitely wouldn't work for me, which is completely fine. All right, it's about finding what works for you, what has you in the best mindset going into the game, and what has you feeling at your best so that you can actually go and perform then. I think the biggest thing for any player is, as I said at the start of the video, having the confidence that all those boxes have been ticked. Every player wants to step out across the line, like feeling confident, feeling ready to go. And if you actually do the work, you tick all the right boxes, you have evidence there and you have the experience there that all that work has been done, that's going to leave you in a pretty good spot. So providing all that work's done, you're probably going to feel a lot later coming into the game then. After that then, it's just sort of tools and tactics that you might find work for you. Might be taking yourself out for a walk, unplugging from the likes of social media and all that crack, not reading stuff, not listening to stuff that's talking about football, hurling, camogie, whatever it is. You might actually enjoy watching it or looking into it, and you might go and watch a load of video stuff. You might watch old matches, you might watch highlights on YouTube, that sort of thing. Or you might listen to certain types of music that get you into a certain state or up to a certain energy level. Again, that's going to come down to personal preference. One thing for me is, I suppose, knowing and having the evidence that I've done all the work beforehand, packing my bag the day before, so that I'm not lying in bed thinking, fuck, are my socks washed, is my shorts washed? Again, it's just making sure that everything's packed, ready to go, and just having as little in my mind as possible. And then coming into the game itself, it's just about keeping myself relaxed, trying to go about my day as normal, get out for a walk, get sunlight in. I used to think that I had to rest up and lie on the sofa all day and try and preserve my energy, but when it actually came to game time, then I felt a bit sluggish, I felt slower to get going, and I actually felt a bit stiff just because I hadn't been up and moving about. Again, it's a bit of trial and error. Find what works for you. When you find something that works, try and stick to it as much as possible. And I suppose with that, there's a couple of key behaviours and habits and I suppose standards that we can implement across the board, similar to the idea of keeping the stores topped up in terms of the carb side of things. One big day or 2 big days before a game isn't going to massively change everything. The same is true when it comes to the likes of your sleep, your hydration, your daily movement, keeping on top of niggles, like just chipping away little and often at those wee bits, making sure your sleep's on point the majority of the time so that you're not fucking operating on 4 hours sleep Monday to Friday, but then the day before a game you get 8 and 9 hours sleep. You're still going to be feeling the effects of those 4 hour sleeps the rest of the week. Keeping on top of niggles, like managing that, being with a physio, getting massages, getting rubs, all that crack, rather than trying to have a massive intervention the day or 2 before a game. Hydration, again, keeping yourself topped up throughout the week, rather than just guzzling all sorts of water and electrolytes the day or 2 before a game. And then I suppose the big one is your weekends as well. It's all well and good doing all the right training, like looking after your nutrition, doing all the right things on paper, but if you're going out in the piss every weekend, even after a game, that's going to have a knock-on effect. It's like the one-off occasion isn't going to be too bad, but that knock-on effect and that compound effect of doing that week on week, where you're under-recovering for a day or 2 afterwards, your energy's a bit shit and you're not getting the most out of your sessions, you're blowing the calories up with the drink and whatever food that comes with it. In isolation, it's not the worst in the world, but if we're doing that week on week, that's going to accumulate over time and we're missing out on serious potential there. Yeah, so there we have it. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that you've heard before, but the reason that you keep on hearing it and you keep on talking about it, or the reason that I keep on talking about it, is because it's the stuff that actually fucking works. I'm not going to come on here and jump and talk about all this mad stuff that's completely brand new and all this fancy stuff, because I'm a big believer in doing the basics consistently well over a period of time, or what yields the best results. So have a look at what I just mentioned there. Look after your training, your weekly schedules, the actual content of your training, the volume of your training. Look at your nutrition habits. Are you fueling properly, recovering effectively in between? Are you under eating and under fueling and expecting the carb load to fucking look after everything? And then those other habits, standards, behaviors that we're chatting about in terms of your sleep, hydration, lifestyle factors, going out at the weekends. Again, the big thing here, if there's one thing that you take from this, it's managing everything that's in your control and stacking the odds in your favour to feel at your absolute best come game day. There's so much that we can control that influences how we perform, so that when we get to the game, it's just a case of going out, letting it all out there, and feeling free and light that all the work has been done and all the boxes have been ticked. So if you're not implementing that at the moment, get to work on it, and I guarantee you're going to feel 10 times better coming into your next game. As always, appreciate you watching the video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and if you need a hand with anything that we mentioned at all, feel free to give me a shout or check out the links in the description where we have programs, different guides, and the option to work with each other one-to-one, where we cover everything that we just mentioned and remove that guesswork for you. Cheers for watching. Best of luck in your next championship game, and I'll see you in the next video.